You're a new coach, or you're just starting out as a spiritual mentor, a reader, or a healer, and you're at that point where you just have no idea how you're going to introduce this to your friends, family, neighbors, and colleagues. You're really concerned about seeming unprofessional, way too woo woo, and you don't really know how to approach it. This video, we're going to talk all about it so that you feel comfortable, confident, and walk away with a really great approach to marketing your business. So I want to introduce myself. My name is Carrie Koss. I'm a psychic medium, a sacred feminine mentor, and a healer. I went through this exact worry, anxiety, and fear of how do I tell my existing community, clients, family, and friends that I am a psychic medium and that I talk to their loved ones on the other side as well as do healing work. My background is that when I was in my 20s, I had a huge spiritual awakening. And so I was forced to start to learn to navigate and to develop my abilities. But from a young age, I knew that this was not something that most people did, and I kept it to myself. Very few people knew that I did this professionally. And so after the age of 28, I kept it to myself and I didn't share it with people. And after that, I went through many years where most people had no idea that I was a deeply intuitive person and that I could speak to dead people. In fact, I think it was just my family and then my husband who really knew. In 2019, when I made the decision that I was going to do this publicly and I was going to shift from my current career as a hairstylist into being a psychic medium and teacher professional, the idea of doing this was incredibly daunting. And I want to talk to you about the approach I took and list some really helpful ways I think that are going to help you make the transition and be able to really confident about stepping into this as your dream job. The first thing is you want to distill what you do down to a short 2-minute elevator speech. So what does that mean exactly? Well, probably if you do any of the type of work I do, which is that you do very sacred modality work, connect in with people intuitively, and probably have some practices that are involved in that. And while people who understand the work will really understand the language you're using, most people will not. So instead of using the terminology that you use in your work, instead you want to turn it down slightly as if you're speaking to a kindergartner and you want to tell people that you do intuitive work to help people. This is just a way that people will get the sense that you really love what you're doing, but you don't have to go in depth and explain it to them. I used to try and convince people of the validation and all the things I did when it came to speaking to people on the other side. And a lot of the time, what I would get is people just coming at me like deer in headlights, having no idea what I was talking about. Sometimes I found myself explaining way too much and having to defend myself. And what I learned from that is keeping it simple is really the best approach. The next one is a really challenging one. I want you to partner up with a supportive friend, and I want you to have them write down 10 really challenging questions to ask you about the work you do. When you put yourself into these situations, you are playing the long game. You are playing interference. Already ahead of time, you will have a comfortable response. You'll feel really clear and grounded when it comes to the work you do, and absolutely like you have a really good reaction and you won't be off kilter. Coming from a centered place comes from preparation and comes from knowing that what you do is valid. We already know the world is not used to what we do primarily, and that you're going to have to learn to live with it and get comfortable with it and be confident in what you do. Preparing yourself ahead of time with challenging questions can take the edge off of that. I always think that one of the best lessons I ever got was when I'd have to go on to the internet, on TikTok, on Instagram, and I had to field people's questions who were questioning what I was doing and who were not only skeptical, but really judgmental. It really helped me develop certainty in what I do and the work I offer, but also to not worry whether they were understanding what I did and that what I offer, because I know it's valuable. Now, if you're anything like me, the first thing is when it comes to people who you think are skeptical about the work you're doing, you have no idea how to explain to them what you do. You probably get tongue tied, feel shaky, unclear on what to say, and instead just keep it to yourself. So, this is my suggestion when it comes to talking about your work publicly with people who you think are skeptical. The next tip is that I want you to write down a list of all the services that you offer. And I want you to put it on a piece of paper and put it all on one side of the piece of paper, and then put a line down the center. And on the other side of that paper, I want you to write down a clear way that you can explain to people what that service is. Now, you really may be modifying it and you might be making it a little bit more simplistic to most people, but that's good because a lot of people that come to you are going to come to you because they know they need something. They want to feel stress release. They want to feel more confident in their marriage. They want to feel clearer on their life path. They don't necessarily want to get a past life reading or an Akashic Records reading or get a somatic healing session. So being able to convert the intricacy and the depth of what you do, and then looking at it as a way that you can then talk about it and what it relieves, the symptoms it helps with, it's going to help you tremendously. It will also help you be able to talk about it with a lot of confidence. Try it. Let me know what you think. The next thing I recommend, and I tell all my coaching clients this when they start their businesses, is get used to talking on a camera. Film and record yourself talking about your work. Take the time you need then to also go back and watch your own videos. You don't have to post these. This is really more for you to learn to not be tongue tied and to talk clearly about the work you do. My spirit guide in 2018 began telling me to film in my camera and do practice readings, even though I wasn't reading really anyone except for well-known people who could be found on the internet or through local sources. And it really got me comfortable doing readings, first of all, but also articulating what I did. That way, you're not feeling pressured when it comes to being on the spot. Say, for example, if you're out to dinner with friends or you run into an old family friend and they say, well, what are you up to? You will have a comfortable response and you'll feel really confident about what you're saying and fleshing out your ideas. Some of those ideas that when you talk about them, you'll learn that they're not necessary and they don't really explain what you do anyway. You see, we're healers, we're psychics, we're mediums, and we just feel and know what we do. We're not always used to talking about it and explaining it. But I think it's a really good exercise. And it also does prepare you to move into being a teacher or a mentor or a public speaker. Next, I want you to get comfortable over time talking at length about the spiritual work that you do and making clear points so people can understand the depth of the work, but breaking it down in such a way that even someone who's brand new to the sessions you offer would understand it. Now, that might take some time. And that's why it's not the first thing that I would suggest when it comes to the work you're sharing. But over time, you're going to be able to articulate it and make it clearer and clearer. And also, this will be very helpful for your website, for your social media posting, your content creation. I love working with my clients on creating thriving spiritual practices to really bring forth the businesses that they dream of. If you're interested in this type of work, I would definitely recommend that you check out my page, make a comment here if you have a question about what you're struggling with, and good luck to all of you incredible mediums, healers, and coaches. Take care.